Om Sadashivasamārambhām Shankaracharya-madhyamām Asmadacharya-paryantām Vande Guru Parampārām. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The Shanti mantras. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangaistustuvagumsastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravaah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaah Swasti nastarkshyo Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, the study of Vedanta is a serious study, and a certain kind of a mind is required because there is something to be understood here. Yeah? And hence, we need a sattvic and calm mind. Yeah? So, which is why we chant the Shanti mantras. Yeah? And as we have seen on many occasions, the Shanti mantras, they are chanted to glorify the cosmic forces. Indra, Varuna, Vayu, Surya. Yeah? The glories of the Devatas, which have three aspects. Yeah? Adhyatma, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Daivika. For example, the sun. Now the sun, what is the aspect of Adi Bhautika? It is the center of the solar system, and hence we are blessed by its nourishment and light and protection of the sun, Adi Bhautika. Then there is an intelligence associated with the sun, the presiding deity, and that is the Adi Daivika aspect. Then there is also an Adhyatmika aspect. You know, Tattva Bodha, when we studied how the Maya Shakti modifies to form the subtle and the gross universe, including my body, mind, sense complex. Then we see that every sense organ and the faculty it enjoys is blessed by a Devata. Yeah? So the eyesight in this Adhyatma body is blessed by the sun. So these are the three aspects, and when they are harmonized, then it forms a very conducive and sattvic frame of mind and environment to pursue the study of Vedanta. In fact, there is an Upanishad called Chakshu Upanishad, yeah, where there are the mantras all for in praise of Surya Devata. And in fact, the Vedikas, they will chant these mantras if there is a problem with eyesight. Yeah? So that is the glory of the mantras of our Upanishads. Now, in the last session, I did a small introduction to the Vedas. We will just quickly review that. I explained, how the Vedas are the Shruti Pramana. The Shruti means that which was directly revealed in the minds of the Rishis. Yeah? In the minds of the Rishis by Bhagavan. So there's a direct transference of all the knowledge. So and hence the Shruti or the Vedas are the primary scriptures. And they are Nityam, which means they are Anadi. In every cycle of manifestation, the Vedas are also born. Yeah? and then withdrawn again when the cycle goes back to Avyakta. Yeah? So the Vedas are born along with the creation for living a meaningful yajna-based life. In the Sadhana Panchakam, remember, I hope you all remember, Sadhana Panchakam is, the final text that Adi Shankaracharya took for his students, and there were 40 instructions in 5 shlokas. The very first instruction says what? Vedo nityam adhiyatam. May one study the Vedas nityam, always. Taduditam karma swanushtiyatam. And may one perform the karmas mentioned in the Vedas properly. May one do the anushtanam of all the karmas. So what this means is that Vedas guide us to live a yajna-based life in order to fulfill the 4-fold purusharthas: dharma, artha, and kama purusharthas. Yeah? Which also we saw how artha is the pursuit of security, kama is pleasure and happiness, dharma is punyam, and moksha is the pursuit of freedom. Yeah? Now, not everybody has an access to the Vedas, right? So, the Vedas are in Vaidika Sanskritam, yeah? And we cannot study the Vedas without a Guru Parampara connection. Yeah? So, in addition to Shruti, there is a second layer of literature called Smriti. Smriti is that which is remembered and narrated. So, all our Itihasa, Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, 18 Puranas by Vedavyasa are all the secondary scriptures which are more user-friendly. Yeah? So, we find a lot of stories there. It is entertaining. At the same time, the Tattvam is also there, way of life and the vision. Now, we have seen that for a mature seeker, he will begin to see that there are limitations in the artha, kama, and dharma pursuit. That they're all time-bound, and then they cause a dependence. Each time I fulfill a desire, then 10 more desires come up, and then I have to fulfill them also. So there is always a state of becoming, seeking. And hence the Upanishads say, Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmanaha nirvedam ayat. A very famous mantra from another Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, which means Pariksha lokan, having done pariksha, having examined the nature of artha, kama, dharma pursuit, the mature seeker gains nirveda. Nirveda means dispassion. Begins to press the pause button in life and pauses and thinks, what do I really want? What is the purpose of life? Where did I come from? So this, I said, was the stage of Purushartha Nishchaya. And then the same Vedas will guide the mature seeker into the Parama Purushartha, which is found in the Uttara Bhaga, which is the Upanishads or the Vedanta. So the Upanishads and the Vedanta, Kaivalya Upanishad is one of them, is all about self-inquiry. Now, what is the nature of the seeker? Why am I seeking all the time, and what am I seeking? So now, instead of the external world, the investigation and exploration is in the internal world. Yeah? One is focused inside, and this is called Adhyatma Vidya. Yeah? The science of the self. Who am I? Yeah? So when we begin to ask these questions, and now we're all beginning to study Gita and Upanishads, so we are all mumukshus. Moktam ichuhu iti mumukshuhu. So the Upanishads and Vedanta is only meant for a mumukshu, and for the mature seeker. Now, there is nothing wrong in artha, kama, dharma pursuit, because without having accomplished some initial desires and gaining some maturity, peace, security, we cannot come to the ultimate purushartha. So that is the maturing process that the Vedas lead us into. Yeah? So we saw the Vedas, are divided into two. The Karma Kanda, which is the bulk, has sadhanas to accomplish sadhyas. Like how King Dashratha accomplished the Putra Kameshti Yaga, because he intensely desired a child. So that is described in the Veda. So there are so many goals mentioned in the Karma Kanda and means for those goals. Even the means to gain unknown ends. For example, there are people who will perform the Jyotishtoma Yajna. There's a special Vedic ritual to gain heaven. Yeah? Now, whether that heaven will be gained or not, we cannot say. So it is all Shraddha based. We cannot verify it. So whether the goal is known or unknown, there are the means for those goals in the Karma Kanda. But for this mature seeker, the Mukshu, there is the Jnana Kanda or the Vedanta or the Upanishads. Yeah? And we also saw the meaning of Upanishads. The prefix Upa means close, near, or proximity. Yeah? Now, as we saw, what is closest to me? It is me, the self. Yeah? The body is close, the mind is even closer, but what is even closer? And that is the Atma, the self. So Upa itself means Atma, Brahma. Then Ni, the prefix Ni stands for Nishchaya Jnanam. Nishchaya Jnanam means well-ascertained knowledge, clear knowledge of the self. So Upa and Ni refer to the self-knowledge. And Shad or Sad is the verbal root, which we saw has these three meanings. There is a Dhatu Patha. Sanskrit students know that very well. Dhatu Patha is a list of about 2,000 verbs compiled by the great sage Panini, where all the actions are classified. So there is Visharana, Gati, Avasadana. So Visharana is to destroy. Yeah? Gati is to take closer, is to lead. Gamayati. And Avasadana is to loosen. So then Shankaracharya explains, what happens? What does this knowledge do? Upani, self-knowledge, what does it do? It will loosen or shake out the grip of samsara. The samsara is what? The psychological bondage. Yeah. If the bondage is real or physical, we can never get rid of it. But it is notional. Manaha eva karanam bandha mokshayoho manushyanam. In another Upanishad it is said, mind alone is the cause of bondage, and mind alone, when uplifted and purified, cause of release. Yeah? So the bondage that the Upanishad shakes out or loosens is, is by this avasadana. Loosens the wrong notions and conclusions I have about myself. That I am a limited, insignificant person, that it loosens the attachments, the notions, and the conclusions. And then Visharana. Visharana, once something is loosened, then it is easy to destroy. So Upanishad destroys the samsara from the root. What is the root? Avidya. Ignorance. Ignorance of what? Self. So you see, self-knowledge is moksha. Jnanameva moksha. And hence it leads this mature seeker, gati, gamayati, to that moksha purushartha. And all the Upanishads are, of course, they all have the same purpose. And the Upanishads are they all have a dialogue between a student and a teacher. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a beautiful dialogue between a husband, Yajnavalkya, who has experienced Grihastha Ashrama, but now he wants to go for moksha. And he is wanting permission from his wife. Maitri. And he says, look, I would like to go and do Nididhyasnam, and you can manage the house and the Gurukulam and the Goshala, and I will make sure you're comfortable. Then the wife, who is a Mumukshu, Maitri, she asks him the question. She says, will all this wealth and property and possessions, will this give me that moksha for which you're leaving the Grahastha Ashrama? And he says, no. And then there is a dialogue between the Guru is her own husband and she is the Mumukshu. So like that, every Upanishad has a dialogue between a student and a teacher, like Nachiketa and Lord Yama in the Katha Upanishad. In fact, Lord Yama is so impressed by Nachiketa's Vairagyam and his questions. He says, oh Lord Yama, is there something beyond dharma and adharma? Beyond death, what is it that survives? This is my only desire. I don't want anything else. Then Lord Yama says, I am so blessed to be your Guru. Because who is asking these questions? Look at your Vairagyam. And Lord Yama tries to tempt him with so many goodies, freebies. He just refuses everything. Nachiketa says, you have promised and I want only self-knowledge. So Upanishad have a background story and a dialogue. And in this Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad, now Kaivalya means what? Kevalasya bhava. Kevala in Sanskritam means only. Not lonely, but only. The only one Atma. That is the Tattvam. That is the non-dual reality. We say one without a second. So there is no second. So in objects, there may be many clothes, many ornaments, many pots, but there's only one clay. There are many ornaments, but there's only one gold. There are countless waves, but there's only one water. So Kaivalya means that adhara, that only one non-dual reality, which we say advitiyam, na dvaitam iti advaitam, Brahma. And Shastra says that is you, that is who you really are. So the aim of the Shastra is for us to discover the higher I, the Paramarthika I, which is what Kaivalya means. So in the Kaivalya Upanishad also, there is a dialogue between a student who is a Rishi, Ashvalayanaha. And he is not only a Rishi, but he is teacher of Rig Veda. And he himself has performed so many Vedic rituals and gained the punyam. What kind of punyam? The punyam to approach the Guru, who is none other than Brahmadeva, the creator, Chaturmukha Brahma. So you see, the Shastra says, even to come to the point of the desiring this knowledge, wanting to know what the Gita is all about, what is the Upanishad, and to study that requires so much punya. And then we, of course, need more punyam to complete the study and to assimilate all this knowledge. So that was a quick recap of what already we did in the last session. Now, there is one topic that I should have done in the Tattva Bodha lectures, but which got missed out. And so today I would like to do that topic. And that is the topic called Pramana Vichara. Pramana Vichara. It's a very important topic. And I remember in our study, before starting the long-term Vedanta course, Puja Swamiji did 6 sessions, 6 hours on just Pramana Vichara, which we will see shortly. Now, the word Pramana means what we have recently seen in the Gita, Sayat Pramanam Kurute. Pramana can be a standard that one sets in for others to follow. Then Praman in Hindi is proof. What is the proof? What is the Pramana? But in the context of Vedanta, Pramana is called a means of knowledge. Yeah? Pramayaha karanam. Very important. You can note it down. Pramayaha karanam. Prama means knowledge and pramayaha karanam. Karanam is an instrument or the means to gain knowledge. So before we proceed with the mantras of Kaivalya Upanishad, I would like to do this topic now. So if we see, how do we gain any knowledge in the world? Yeah? So there is a discussion in the tradition, teaching tradition, that there are 5 means for gaining knowledge, any kind of knowledge in the world. Yeah? And these are the 5 instruments of knowledge. What is the first one? Pratyaksha Pramanam. And it is, like right now, Ninga ellarum enna vandu pratyakshama paakrel. Yeah. That word pratyaksham is there in all the languages almost. Pratyaksha means sakshat, direct knowledge. Yeah. So just as you are all seen by me, I am also seen by you, thanks to eyesight. Yeah. So the Pancha Jnanendriyani are the Pratyaksha Pramana for what? For gaining knowledge in the form of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Yeah. The eyes pick up forms and colors. Oh, this is green. This is diamond shaped. Then the ears will hear a sound of a truck coming, and without even turning, I will step aside safely on the road. Yeah? Then the nose picks up smell, tongue picks up taste, and the skin picks up touch. Yeah? So these Pancha Jnanendriyani are called the first Pratyaksha Pramanam, or by direct perception, I am getting the knowledge of Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, which is very useful. Yeah? But then the question is, how valid is this knowledge? See, the Pratyaksha Pramana, when I see, do I not see the earth as flat? I see the earth as stationary. I am very still right now. Earth is also still. But is it true? So what our Pratyaksha Pramana gives us knowledge needs to be verified. So a little more logic and scientific reasoning shows that the earth is spherical and earth is not stationary. There is a blue sky I see, but sky is not blue. There is no sky also. So Pratyaksha Pramana is limited and gives me some knowledge. So the second Pramana is Anumanam. Anumanam is inference. Yeah? Now, inference is based on Pratyaksha. Yeah? For example, when I get up in the morning after a good night's sleep, and I see all the roads are wet and the balcony is wet, the plants are wet, then what will I infer? It must have rained last night, right? I did not see it raining because I was asleep, but now I infer. So Shastra says this is another means of knowledge, inference. Yeah? And the classic example given is, on a distant mountain, I see smoke. Yeah? I see like the smoke from a distant mountain. Then what will I conclude? Fire. Fire is on the mountain. Yeah? So in my mind, there is a connection between smoke and fire. Wherever there is fire, there will be smoke. Yeah? So this is the kind of second kind of pramana by which we get knowledge. Yeah? Then the third one is arthapattihi. Arthapattihi means multiple inference. Yeah? Instead of presumption, we can say layers and layers of inference. Yeah? So how do the scientists, discover that time and space are relative, Big Bang theory, and all these principles we hear in physics? It's all because of inference within inference. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Supposing a person has got fever. Yeah? So the skin is very warm. So then what happens when the person does a test, the blood sample, it shows infection. Then further analysis, then the doctor is able to eliminate certain things. Oh, it's not COVID, it is not typhoid, it is malaria. So this is Arthapattihi, by which, by multiple inferences, we gather the knowledge of a certain medical result. Yeah. So like that, in the world, you see what a sophisticated instrument the mind is and all the organs of knowledge. How we are getting knowledge in the world, yeah, and which is very useful. Then Upamanam. Yeah, Upamanam is an easy pramana. Comparison. Yeah? Now, supposing, I tell you, do you know what is durian? Okay, the people who have heard of it can raise your hand or write in the chat box. Yeah, some of you have heard it. I had not heard of it. So durian, durian, if I mention, you may or may not know it. Now, if you do not know it, then I have to use the means called Upamanam. Upamanam means I will now try to explain what is durian. Now, what is durian? Durian is a tropical fruit found in the Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia. So how will I describe the fruit? I will say, oh, it's like jackfruit. It's got a hard exterior. It is also a little bit intense smell. It has like jackfruit, palaparam. And it is very nutritious and healthy. Then you get an idea of this durian fruit by Upamanam Pramanam. Yeah. Then when you visit those countries, then you will be able to recognize it. Yeah. It will be pratyaksha for you. So this is another means of knowledge, Upamanam. Now, the last pramana is Anupalabdhi. It's a little unusual pramana. Like supposing I say, do you see the pen in my hand? You will say yes, right? Because pratyaksha pramanam. Okay. Now, is there a pen in my hand? No, right? So this last pramana is to see the absence of a thing. Yeah? The absence of the pen is understood by the Anupalabdhi Pramanam. Yeah? So what this means is that knowledge of non-existent thing, entity, is obtained by Anupalabdhi Pramanam. Don't worry about it if it is a bit too much now. Yeah? Now you will say, oh, this is pratyaksha. I don't see the pen in Swamini's hand. No. Pratyaksha pramanam is to see something which is existing. But if something is not there, that is the fifth pramana called Anupalabdhi. This is also useful. Supposing I don't have money in my wallet, then I should know there is no money in the wallet to pay my bills. So like that, we have, all these 5 pramanas. Now, why am I discussing all this? There must be a purpose. Yeah. Pratyaksha, Anumanam, Arthapattihi, Upamanam, Anupalabdhihi. Now the question is, can we use any of these pramanas to gain knowledge of Atma? Yes or no? Can we use Pratyaksha, Anumanam, Arthapati, Upamanam, Anupalabdhihi to gain knowledge of Atma, which is what the Upanishad study is all about? Answer is no. Why? Because Atma is not an object. Atma is not like durian or a bus or a pen that is present as an object. So Atma is not an entity or an object. Atma is the all-pervading, independently existing principle of consciousness. Yeah? It is Chaitanyam. And another Upanishad explains it as Adrishyam, Asparsham, Ashabdam, Arasam, Agandham. which means Atma cannot be smelt, cannot be tasted, cannot be seen, cannot be heard, cannot be touched. So Atma is not an object for me to experience with the senses or the mind. Yeah. So then the reason why I discussed the Pancha Pramanas is the knowledge of the world, that which is tangible and present. Empirical knowledge we can get by these 5 Pramanas, but not the knowledge of the Paramarthika reality, which is the Tattvam. Then how to gain the knowledge of Atma? And that is where we have a 6th Pramana, which is the Vedas or Shabda. So we say that the Shabda Pramana, the 6th Pramana, is the only means of gaining knowledge of Atma. Yeah? And the Shabda Pramana is the form of Upanishads or Vedanta. Yeah? Now, how do they work? Yeah, how are they going to show me Atma? So it is something like, I cannot see my own eyes. I mean, now I can see in the Zoom window, but if I don't have, any mirror, can I see my own eyes? Can I see my back? No, unless I look into a mirror. So the Shabda Pramana or the Shastras are like the mirror which are showing me, revealing my true nature as Atma. So they focus the light on oneself and reveal the nature of Atma. Yeah? Actually, the Shabda Pramana, how they explain or reveal the nature of Atma is by explaining all that Atma is not. Yeah? Now, that's a very important subtle point here. See, I am Atma, everybody knows, all of you, we all experience, yes, I am. And that amness cannot be denied. Yeah? But then what do I say? I am limited. I am unhappy. I am jealous, or I am uncomfortable. So all those, the mithya attributes and definitions and labels come, and then that nature of Atma is clouded. So what does the Shastra says? Atma is not subject to time. Atma is not subject to birth. Atma is not subject to death. Atma is not subject to change. Yeah, nirvikaraha, ajaha, amrityuhu, yeah, avyayam. So this is the role of the Shastras as the 6th Pramana, by which neti, it negates the false or the superimposed labels and definitions on Atma and reveal the nature of Atma as Sat Chit Ananda Swarupaha. Yeah? And that is my true nature. Yeah? So this was a little, discussion on the Shabda Pramana. So the 6 means of knowledge. Yeah? Now let us come back to the Kaivalya Upanishad. So we covered, I think, the first mantra. Let me just chant it again. So Kaivalya Upanishad is the dialogue between the student who is sage Ashvalayanaha, who approaches the Brahmadeva, the creator, and the first mantra goes like this. Om Atha Ashvalayanaha Bhagavantam Parameshtinam Upasametyo Vacha. Om Athashvalayano Bhagavantam Parameshtinam Upasametyo Vacha. Om Atha. We saw these 2 sacred words. Om and Atha are the sounds uttered by Brahma Deva at the time of creation. The word Atha in the tradition has 13 meanings, by the way. But we will take the meaning of thereafter now. So after what? After the sage Ashvalayanaha has gained the maturity, the sadhana chatushtayam, which is Vivekaha, Vairagyam, Shatka Sampatihi, Mumukshutvam. And now he is a mature adhikari for the study of Vedanta. That is what Atha means there. So Atha, now or thereafter, Ashvalayanaha, this sage, Bhagavantam Parameshtinam. Bhagavantam is the revered Brahma, and Parameshtinam is the exalted Jiva. See, Brahma has to be there first before he can start the creation. Brahma creates the Prajapatis and then the creation can begin. Yeah. So that is why Parameshtinam. Then what does Ashvalayana do? Upasametya, approached. Yeah. So you see, there is a certain method of approach. It's a very reverential approach. Yeah, with humility and shraddha and respect. One has to approach the Guru and ask for this knowledge. Yeah. The Gurus are all happily, reveling as Atmaratihi and Atmatriptihi. Yeah. So until somebody approaches them, they are not going to open their mouth and pull the people into the self-knowledge. Yeah. So, Om Atha Ashvalayanaha Bhagavantam Parameshtinam Upasametya, approached, then Upasametya Uvacha, said. Yeah. So this Kaivalya Upanishad begins with a request made by Ashvalayana Rishi. What is that request? Adhihi Bhagavan Brahma Vidyam Varishtham. Adhihi Bhagavan Brahma Vidyam Varishtham. Sada Saddhis Sevyamanam Nigudham. Sada Saddhis Sevyamanam Nigudham. Adhihi Bhagavan Brahma Vidyam Varishtham. Sada Saddhis Sevyamanam Nigudham. O Master, Adhihi, please teach. Yeah, O Bhagavan, Adhihi, teach what? Brahma Vidyam, the knowledge of Brahma. Yeah? Which is Varishtham, which is the highest knowledge. The Upanishads also say Dve Vidye Veditavye, Paracha Aparacha. The Mundaka Upanishad says there are only two types of knowledge. One is Apara knowledge, Apara Vidya. Apara Vidya is any knowledge that is pertaining to the world, yeah, for security, dharma, artha, survival. Empirical knowledge is Apara Vidya. Then Paravidya is Brahma Vidya, which is the most precious, Varishtham. Yeah? Why most precious? Because it is about the source of the world itself. Now, you see this pen in my hand. I see a blue pen. So the blueness is the attribute and the form and the utility of the pen. They're all Nama Rupas. But can I see the pen as the glory of Ishvara, as pure existence? The pen is, what is the essence of this pen? You reduce it to the Pancha Mahabhutas, and then that is the Maya Shakti, and the Maya Shakti is the power of Brahma. So even if it is just an ordinary pen, yeah, there is an adhara of pure existence. So the truth of a flower, truth of a table, truth of a tree, a pen, truth of us is that imperishable Sat Vastu. And this sage is asking for that knowledge. I want to know the knowledge of that supreme reality, yeah, which is the adhara, the imperishable Nityavastu of this entire creation. Yeah? And that is why Varishtham. Yeah? Varishtham, it is very precious. Then Sada Sattihi Sevyamanam. That knowledge is always pursued. Sada Sevyamanam is enjoyed or pursued with commitment by mumukshus, and that knowledge is nigudham. Nigudha means secret, well hidden. Yeah. So why is this Brahma Vidya called Raja Vidya, Rajagudya in the Gita? You know, we have a whole chapter named by Raja Vidya, Rajagudya. Because unless the mind is prepared with the eligibility, sadhana chatushtayam, one cannot access this knowledge. So even though Atma Brahma is 24/7 available, it is oneself, it is me, it is my true nature, but it is well hidden because in my buddhi there is no recognition. The buddhi is extroverted, the buddhi is turning outwards, and I am not able to understand my true nature. So it is nigudham. Yeah? That is one meaning here. Okay? So it is so obvious that we miss it. And the other reason, which I just mentioned earlier, is it is nigudham because it is not an object. You know? An object that I can just see and use. In the Kena Upanishad, you know, the one student is asked, you know, do you know Brahma? You know, can you tell me what is Brahma? And the student gives a very intelligent answer. He says, supposing I say I know Brahma, then I don't know it. And supposing I say I don't know Brahma, then I know it. So that sounds a little paradoxical, no? So the Kena Upanishad, we had this mantra where the student says, if I say I know Brahma, then actually it means I don't know. And if I say I don't know Brahma, then I really know it. The Guru, of course, understood. So what is there to understand? If I say I know Brahma, that is not true because Brahma is not an object. It's not like a flower or a pen or biryani that we can see and taste. Yeah, it is oneself. And supposing I say I don't know Brahma, yeah, that is the truth because I cannot see or I cannot see Brahma as an object. So Brahma Vidya or the knowledge of the self has to be understood as oneself. Yeah. And for that is why the preparation is so important. The pure, calm, sattvic, prepared mind in which the buddhi can recognize what Ishvaraha Sarva Bhutanam Hrityeshehe He Arjuna Tishtati. Chapter 18 Gita, Krishna says, look Arjuna, I am that Tattvam residing in all beings, in the heart, in the Hridaya Akasha. Yeah? But unless we are ready, we cannot recognize this very obvious fact, yeah, of that I am Atma, Aham Atma. Yeah. And hence this Moksha Purushartha is the ultimate Purushartha. And without the Guru's grace, the Guru who unlocks the Shastra, we cannot gain the knowledge of the self. And hence Nigudham. Yeah. So this first mantra is Ashvalayana approaches the Brahmadeva and addresses reverentially, O Bhagavan, yeah, please teach me the Brahma Vidya, that Vidya which is most precious, Varishtham, which is Nigudham, well hidden. It is the secret, as though it is a secret. It's an open secret actually, and which is always pursued by mumukshus. That is the first mantra. Then, second one. Yatha chirat sarva papam vyapokya. Yatha chirat sarva papam vyapokya. Parat param purusham yati vidvan. Parat param purusham yati vidvan. Tasmai sahovacha pitamahascha. Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogadavaihi. Tasmai sahovacha pitamahascha. Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogadavaihi. Yatha achirat sarva papam vyapohya Parat param purusham yati vidwan. Yeah. So this is a continuation of Ashwalayana's request. Yatha, just as, that is with this knowledge, yeah, with this knowledge, the vidwan, the wise person, the mumukshu, yati, attains or reaches what? Purusham. You know, Purusham is the Purushottamam, the supreme being. No, we saw the meanings of Purusha yesterday in the Gita class. Puri shete iti Purushaha, Purayati sarvamiti Purusha. That which fills everything like space, all pervading, is Purushaha, one meaning. Second is the indwelling reality in this body, Puri, the nine-gated city, body city, the indwelling reality is Purusha. And this Vidwan has gained the knowledge of Purusha. And that Purusha is Parat Param. No? Parat Param is to be understood as that which is beyond, higher than Para. So Para is to be understood as Shakti, the Maya Shakti, which is manifested as this Jagat. Yeah? But then, who has given permission to Maya Shakti to create the Jagat? The Lord of Maya Shakti, that is Parameshwara. No? See, if you've seen a magic show, you know, I'm sure all of us must have seen a magic show. So it is just incredible how the magic, you know, makes rabbits appear out of a hat or a bouquet of roses. Yeah? But who is greater? Is the magic greater or the magician? The magician who has created the spell of magic is greater. And hence, here too, the divine magician, that is Ishvara, is Param. Parat Param. And that is Purusham. And that the Vidwan, the wise Mukshu, gains. Then, and that self-knowledge, Achirat. Achirat means not after a long time. Chiram means long time. Achirat, not after a long time. So double negative will mean what? Shigrameva, quickly. So when one pursues self-knowledge, very quickly what will happen? Sarva papam vyapohya. All the papas, no, the papas, the afflictions. Papa means what? The samsara. And samsara we saw is psychological. Yeah. Psychological nature of suffering, which is in the mind, that is destroyed by self-knowledge. Yatha achirat sarva papam vyapohya parat param purusham yati vidvan. So that mumukshu. So Ashwalayana is saying, you know, please teach me that Brahma Vidya, you know, gaining which all the papas will be destroyed and one will reach the supreme being, will gain it. Then what is the response of Brahmadeva? That is the entire Kaivalya Upanishad. Tasmai saha ha uvacha pitamaha cha. And to him, pitamaha. Pitamaha means grandfather. You know, so why grandfather means, see, Brahmadeva has to create Prajapati. And we are all descendants of Prajapati. So Brahma will become a grandparent. So that is one way to understand Pitamaha. So Pitamaha Uvacha replied. And what is Brahmadeva's reply? Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogat Avaihi. Shraddha Bhakti Dhyana Yogat Avaihi. So Avaihi is attain or realize or know. That's the verb. Avaihi. So what you're seeking, Ashwalayana, there is a certain preparation for that highest knowledge. And Brahmadeva mentions 3 disciplines. Shraddha, Bhakti and Dhyana Yoga. All these terms are not unfamiliar terms to us. Shraddha is, normally it is translated as faith, but it is much more than faith. So Shraddha is the attitude of, is an attitude of trust. So an open, trusting mind is the attitude of Shraddha. No, the Tattvabodha will define Shraddha as Guru Vakeshu, Vedanta Vakeshu, Astikya or Satya Buddhi. Which means, do I have trust in the words of the Shastra, in the words of my Guru? Yeah. So Shraddha is a very important qualification, and perhaps the most important in that Shakta Sampattihi we saw. Shamaha, Damaha, Uparatihi, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhanam. And Gita also will say, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Even if one is not, highly educated and very academic, accomplished, if one has Shraddha, it will open the door of my heart and mind, and the knowledge will penetrate through the layers of the mind and settle and destroy the ignorance. That is the value of Shraddha given in the Shastra. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. But if I have, my own ideas, and then I am constantly questioning or doubting the vision of the Shastras, then that knowledge will take longer to settle. So how much Shraddha we should have? Again, here the Shastra says, take the example of a baby. A baby has 100% Shraddha in its parent. If it is held by the parent, it will have Shraddha that the mother or the father will never drop me. Will not cause me any harm. So Shastra says we must have the same Shraddha in the Shastras, and the Shastra or the Vedas are equivalent to the 1,000 mothers. It is described as Hiteshini, the well-wisher, and who want to release you from the samsara. So Brahmadeva tells that the first important preparatory discipline to receive Brahma Vidya is, may one be endowed with Shraddha. Swamiji would define Shraddha as pending understanding. Pending understanding means, if I cannot accept everything, that Swami Amma is telling, okay, put it in a little box, later, baad mein. So I give the benefit of doubt to the Shastras and to the teacher. If I don't understand today, I will not doubt my teacher or the Shastras. Yeah? I will try to improve my adhikaritvam, my preparedness, and one day I am going to understand. That is the attitude of Shraddha. Yeah? Then Bhakti. Bhakti is also, we are all living in the land of Bhakti. Bharata Desha, it is universally famous for that. Devotion. Yeah? But then what is devotion? Devotion is connecting to Ishvara. Yeah? And, in Upanishads, we are not going to find Ishvara as Rama, Sita, Devi, Subramanya, all. We, as Ramakrishna Paramahansa says, you are the God that you are worshipping externally. Yeah. So, this is the Nirguna Parabrahma, which appears as, gods and goddesses with attributes. Yeah. So, there are stages and levels of bhakti. And we have seen this in the Gita. Chatur vidha bhajanti ma ye jana supritorjuna artho jignasu rathati jnani cha bharatarshapha. Krishna says, initially, the one who is very attached to the world and to the body and to the visible apparent world, there will be a commercial bhakti. So, Bhagavan, I will, offer 100 coconuts and you please give me a good result in the exam. Or 1,000 coconuts, or I will do pradakshina. Then please, I want that promotion or that job. That's fine, But because there is a need there, and the need is fulfilled by Ishvara, but Ishvara is seen as karma phala data here, But then with maturity, what happens? One becomes a karma yogi, and swakarmanatam abhyarchya siddhim vindati manavaha. So the same manavaha with maturity says, I'm going to worship Bhagavan with my actions. And let Bhagavan give me whatever Whatever is given, I will take it as prasadam. Yeah? But then there is another stage, which is the ultimate stage of jnana bhakti. Yeah? And that is the pursuit of knowledge. Yeah? So self-knowledge is understanding that the Ishvara Tattvam is in me, is in you, is in the donkey, is in the ant, is in the mosquito, is in Brahmadeva. Same indwelling, all-pervading reality is in all the upadhis. Yeah? The one reality, supreme reality, is expressing through the countless upadhis or manifestations. Yeah? So that is the highest level of jnana bhakti. And obviously at this stage to Ashvalayana, Brahmadeva is talking about that stage of bhakti. Yeah? That is, can you see the Ishvara is hidden as gold in all the ornaments, as water in all the waves, as the clay in all the pots. That Ekam Advitiyam Brahma, that is the Ishvara Tattvam. Yeah. So that was mantra number 2. Let's go to the third mantra now. And as I said, the third and the fourth mantras are very famous mantras which appear in another Upanishad also, the Mahanarayana Upanishad. And these are called the Purna Kumbha mantras. This mantra number 3 and 4, we should actually by heart them, because they are chanted whenever a sannyasi, sannyasinis or jnanis visit our homes to welcome them with Purna Kumbham. Yeah? Why Purna Kumbham? Because it represents the whole. So the jnanis have discovered the fullness, Atma Sarupa. So we welcome them not as a person, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, but as the supreme reality, which is Purnam. So these are the two beautiful mantras which we will see today. Na karmana na prajaya dhani na tyagi naike amritatvamana shuhu. Na karmana na prajaya dhani na tyagi naike amritatvamana shuhu. Parinana kan nihitang guhayam vibhrajate yatayo vishanti. Parinanakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajate yatayo vishanti. Vedanta vijnana sunishchitartha sannyasa yoga yataya shuddha sattva aha te brahma lokeshu paranta kale paramrita parimuchanti sarve. So there are some of these mantras, but we will just begin this today. So Brahmadeva continues giving the Upadesha to Ashvalayana. And what does Brahmadeva say? My child, na karmana, na prajaya, na dhanena, amritatvam. Let's take that first. So amritatvam. So Brahmadev says, sage Ashvalayana is asking for Brahma Vidya, which is amritam. Amritam we know is immortality. So amritam or atma, the nature is immortality, isn't it? Ajaha, amrityuhu, nirvikaraha. So immortality is, in the Puranas, it will be described as that amritam, that if you drink it, you will, be free from death. But what is the context of Vedanta? To discover the Nitya Vastu that was never born, never changes, and can never die. So that is the meaning of Amritatam. We have to take in the Vedanta context. So that Amritatam, Anashuhu, attained. Who attained? Eke. Na karmana, na prajaya, dhanena, tyagena, eke. The eke is sitting after tyagena. Eke means a few, some. Some have attained that immortality or Atmajnanam. How? Not by karmas, Vedic rituals, not by praja, offspring and family, perpetuating the species, na dhanena, not by wealth. So let us look at these three here. Na karmana. So karma, here it is meant the Vedic rituals. Even sage Ashwayana has performed a lot of Vedic rituals, but as a karma yogi. So he has gained the punyam and come to the point of self-inquiry. Yeah? But there are many people who do karmas for many results, going to heaven, of a progeny, of a wealth, removal of obstacles. So many personal desires will be there. Yeah? And we know that when there is desire-based action will give karma phalam in the form of papa punyam. Papa punyam will necessitate janma, and that will keep me bound in the wheel of karma. So how can there be amritatam? So na karmana, not by karmas. No? If you want amritatam, you have to come to jnana kanda. You can't be orbiting in the karma kanda forever. Then na prajaya. Prajaya means not by children and offspring. So this we have to explain a little bit, and commentators explain it this way. That, human being would have the tendency to think that, when I have children, it is like I am living on in the form of my children. Yeah? So it is a continuity. Thinking that if I, have children, then there is a continuity, and that will make me immortal. There is a belief like that. And another belief which is very rooted in our Indian tradition is that only if I have a male child, can Shraddha be performed. And then when I have departed from this loka, then who will perform Shraddha if there is, no children? And then how will I get Amritatvam? Yeah. So for the sake of ancestors, Shraddha is performed. We know that, But here, Brahmadeva says that immortality or self-knowledge, Amritatvam, cannot be gained by, having offspring or children. Why? Because children are born to parents by their own prarabdha. Gita, chapter 6 will say that after the prarabdha karma of this life is over, then what? The jiva will leave the physical body and then continue in the next environment, pick up thread, and the spiritual journey, Jiva Yatra, continues. So that has got nothing to do with the parents. The child will choose the parents. Yeah? So, na prajaya amritatvam. Then the third is very obvious, na dhanena, wealth. So if I have crores of rupees, that is material wealth, then I may have punyam also. I may have done a lot of punya karmas and gained punyam. Yeah? Then will I get amritatvam by all this? No. Either by the visible wealth or the invisible punyam, there is no amritat. The punyam will take me to some lokas, and then which are also time bound. Kshine punye punarapi mrityu-loke vishan. So when the punya is exhausted, again I have to come back in a human embodiment and then study Vedanta again. So amritatvam is not attained by karmas, by praja, or by wealth. Then how? Tyagena eke, by renunciation alone. Tyagena. Amritatvam anashuku. But by renunciation, some eke have attained immortality. Now again, renunciation is a very contextual word. We are seeing that in the Gita. It is not a physical renunciation. Giving up family, giving up profession, giving up my duty. No. It is living a life of namaha. Name iti namaha, na mama iti namaha. That is giving up the notion that I am the body, mind, sense complex. Yeah? So when I take myself to be Anatma, I have to give up that notion. That is ignorance. Then the second thing to be given up is what? Mama. That this body belongs to me, this children belong to me, house belongs to me, property belongs to me. Nothing belongs to me. Not even this body. Everything belongs to Ishvara. So when we study the Srishti Prakarana in the Tattva-bodha, we see that everything has emerged from the Maya Shakti belonging to Ishvara, including the body, the mind, the faculties, the buddhi, with which I'm studying Vedanta. So the point here is Tyagena Eke Amritatvam Anash. And so why do we use this mantra to welcome sannyasis? Because their life is a life of Tyaga. In pursuit of knowledge, they have given up the Mamatvam. Yeah, they are totally surrendered, and they don't have this I notion in the limited Anatma. Then what? Parena Nakam Nihitam Guhayam Vibhrajati. Yeah? This Amritatvam is Parena Nakam. Yeah? Nakam means heaven. Yeah? And heaven is seen as a very a great loka where there is no suffering. That may be true. There's no aging, there's no suffering, there's no power cut, and there is no COVID, and there is no disease. Nakam. But this Amritatvam is Parena. Parena means beyond heaven. Why? Because even if there is a heaven, that is also time bound, that is space bound. That has to come to an end. However high the loka is. Brahma loka is the highest, Satya loka or Brahma loka, same thing. But even if it's for a very long duration, still it is going to be come to an end. But Amritatvam, self-knowledge of that Nitya Vastu is Parena Nakam. Yeah? And then Nihitam Guhaya. Guha we know is cave. Yeah? So that self-knowledge is Nihitam, well hidden in the cave. So what is the cave? The cave is to be understood as the cave of the intellect, the buddhi. Yeah? And generally, when you must have visited some caves, in the Himalayas. The caves are dark. Yeah, when people would go and meditate there. So too, in my buddhi, there is darkness. There is ignorance of that Vibhrajate Amritatvam, of that self-shining, self-evident Atma. But it is Nihitam. It is dark in the sense that I am not knowing that Atma Tattva. Yeah. But that Atma Tattvam, Amritam is Vibhrajate, is shining. Yeah. Shining means what? Not like a torchlight, but it means self-evident. Yeah. Self-evident means it is the sentient, self-evident, Svata Siddha. That is the nature of Atma. We have seen in Tattva-bodha how Anatma body, Anatma mind, Anatma sense organs, they are activated, they are blessed, they are illumined, they are made sentient by whom? Atma. And that Atma or Amritatvam is Vibhrajate, shining, sentient. And Yat, that which Yatayaha Vishanti. Yatayaha is the plural of Yati. And Yati has two meanings. One is sannyasi and one meaning is who are doing prayatnam, effort. Yeah? So when one pursues self-knowledge, the study of Vedanta and Upanishads with the proper effort, and under a Guru Parampara, then Vishanti. They enter. They enter what? Amritatvam. Enter in the sense not spatially, but they gain the knowledge of Atma. So this is how the Upanishads proceed. Kaivalya Upanishad has got many mantras which are the gist of other mantras. You know, some Upanishads like Katha will proceed more gradually. It's a longer Upanishad. And there'll be some storytelling also, so the mind can relax. But here we find that every word is so loaded. So we have to unload or decode every word. Yeah? So this is half of the mantras of the Purna Kumbha that I said. Na karmana na pratyadhanena tyagi naiki amritatham anashu parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibrajate yat yatayo vishanti. Yeah. Then we have Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitarthaha Sannyasa Yoga Yateshita Sattvaha Te Brahma Lokeshu Parantakale Paramata Parimuchanti Sarve, which we will do another time. Yeah. So the idea is not that Vedanta is or Upanishad is to be pursued only when I'm qualified for it. Otherwise, it will never happen. You know, if I say all the waves in the ocean will subside, then only I will take a bath. Will it ever happen? No. So, whenever there is a desire and opportunity to study Vedanta, then we can connect with the Guru Parampara and start the study. Then as we study, our Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyanam and eligibility also will be upgraded and become more and more sharp and focused with the study. Yeah? Here in this Upanishad, Ashvalayana, he already asked such a mature question. Yeah, that means what? He has already had satsanga, he's already got Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyanam, and he's done Atma Vichara, and then he's come to Brahmadev. Yeah? So, at whatever stage we are in, you know, we can continue the study of Gita and Upanishad and benefit from it. Yeah? So, with that, we will conclude. One more time, I will chant the Shanti mantras. Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangai Stushtvagum Sastanubhihi Yashema Devahitai Yadayuhu Swastina Indro Vriddhashravah Swastina Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti Nastaksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspati Dadhatu Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Tat Sat.